Well, hello, hello, and welcome back to day 2 of the 12 gifts before Christmas, and this incredibly powerful day where we are celebrating, really setting rituality and intention from a place of allowance on this beautiful full moon in Gemini, and also this incredible energy portal. I think they said that the last full moon of that was like this was probably 20 years ago, and we're really calling in this finality of this last full moon of the year and this decade in Gemini, which of course I love because that is my rising sign, and it's the sign of communication, speaking your truth, and sometimes getting into trouble for that. But I think that it's calling us forth to keep emerging into our most empowered selves, to really claim our power and stand in our truth as we continue to adjust to the outward circumstances, which are often very much out of our control. And I think that emergence awaits all of us in the wisdom that is embodied by situations that challenge us. And today in the UK, it's voting day. And again, I think it's this duality of with Saturn being thrown into the mix. Saturn for me is the planet with the ring. So either it can create a container of safety, holding us in our truth, or it can feel very restrictive. But in whatever situation or difficulty you may find yourself right now, really call in those energies of Chiron, the Merkaba, to help you be that catalyst of truth that's really going to accelerate your healing and also propel you into a space of living in your true divine nature, of being true to yourself first and foremost. And I think for a lot of my clients, I've certainly been feeling this in my body as aches, as sleeplessness. It is a challenging time. It is a challenging full moon because it is really pushing us to be honest and true to ourselves. And those truths that we perhaps have been avoiding or denying or suppressing or hiding from are coming up, really coming up in a very physical way, for us to look at and call out and identify, so that we can really start to understand our attachment styles, our way of coping, of surviving in the world that we created as children, and that as big children now, as adults, we perhaps are no longer needing. You know, I think that whole mentality of out of sight, out of mind, it just isn't what you need right now, and we have to bring it front of mind and give it our attention and our love in order to heal it. And this is what this moon is doing for all of us. It's carrying with it a very strong release of energy, and giving us another opportunity to really do our inner work, to look at things that are still unresolved and get to the root cause of it at the level of your nervous system. Not just from the last year, but from your entire lifetime as a being on, as a being incarnated in this planet. Nice to see you, Tamar. Always good to have you here. And I'd love to hear your insights on how you're finding this great shakeup of time. I know both of us share this love for being of service to the animals on the planet. And a lot of you that are part of my tribe, you're HSPs, you're empaths, you feel deeply. And this is not a time to go back to sleep. We really have to address what is serving us, and look at what may be holding us back from stepping into a higher form of generosity in our service, so that we can realize our utmost potential and use our resources in a good way to help change the things that we don't like to see in the world. So just know that this is a powerful time. I know you've probably heard it from everyone and everywhere right now, but this Gemini full moon, it is a very rare triple conjunction. For those of you that are into spiritual astrology, who've worked with me through the purpose mapping, you know I use numerology and spiritual astrology as part of mapping out your purpose and your vision and your mission and your plan. And we have Venus, the lover. We have Saturn, this planet that, as I said, could be a place of making you feel very restrictive, as if you have no power of choice, which of course is not true. And also the divisiveness of Mars and this whole Pluto energy. So just know that they're working together, right? They're mutable. Venus is playing a huge role right now in looking at our love, not only what we don't like and asking what would love do here, but really deepening into active appreciation of the things that we do love, and its role in finances, right? How we are perhaps sabotaging our own wealth code or our abundance miasms or patterns and pathways of holding abundance away from us for fear of not getting what we want, which is often runs through in all aspects of our life. And I know I say this all the time, but how you do anything is how you do everything. So this sort of lunar shift is perhaps going to bring up more of that over the next 2 weeks, as these two aspects of our life, love and finances, for the love of money, for the love of service, how you are perhaps not being in congruence, where you are in contrast or the duality of how the two fit together, and that money is spiritual when it comes from heart-based business, when it comes from a place of really creating through generosity, through service. That money comes as a byproduct of that. So just remember that this is going to be tested in you right now if you're feeling into this unconsciousness of the lack and poverty and scarcity programs that are really starting to break away in the old patriarchal ways of being that are not part of this 12-12 ascension plan that we are all part of and responsible for in doing our own inner shadow work. And again, looking at Saturn, where you maybe are feeling restricted, and of Pluto, which can bring this feeling of heightened anxiety or fear up into the fore, so you can address it and look at it. And I think it's very important to stay mindful of this as we try to use the mind, right? Employ your mind to work for you as you start to bring in more flexibility so that you can really start to traverse the changes that we're all about to and probably are already experiencing. I think that with Venus being highly active right now in between the Saturn and the Pluto, we're all feeling these very energetic pulses incredibly strongly right now, and you might, as many of us are, start to feel that old niggle, that old uncertainty coming up about old relationships and where you stand with people in your life. And there may be a bit of pressure, especially with the holidays and family coming back together. My daughter comes through from South Africa. I haven't seen her for 4 months, to spend some time with me and my family. I'm so excited that I will be surrounded by my family over the holidays, but I also know that sometimes we swallow our truth, we hold back, we avoid confrontation, especially when we're in these sort of karmic patterns, especially in children and family dynamics. It's still part of our karma, and we need to really know our energetic boundaries so that the people around us know how to treat us. It's up to us to do that. It's not up to other people to meet your unfulfilled needs. And I always say, if you think you have figured it all out, just spend some time with your family, because this is a time for creating healthy and firm boundaries, energetic boundaries, physical boundaries, any kind of boundary, right, is how you honor your truth. And to remember that you have no obligation to place yourself in uncomfortable positions just for the sake of appeasing somebody else's comfort zone. So be mindful, stay true to your heart and your emotions, and be honest with yourself. Do what your intuition and your gut are telling you is the right thing to do. That's how you stay in congruence. And I think that we all owe it to ourselves to really seek out, actively appreciate, and bring more of the things that elevate and fill you up with joy into your energy field. And I suppose I should have said this one's going to be a little bit longer than the little sound bites that I'm going to actively give you over the next 10 days of this 12-day challenge. But it's a special time, and I think it warrants some extra time. So bear with me. And if you are busy, just come back to this at a later time. And I'm going to give you some of my rituality and some of the amplifying questions, right? The expansive questions that you can start to use in your journal, in your meditation, as you bring in. Archangel Metatron is a great one to bring in. Uriel is wonderful to bring in if you're into angels, or bring in your animal totems, the ones that really stand for truth. I think all animals do, because they don't know anything other than to be true to their nature, to their species, and also true to being in the present moment. They don't get stuck in this frontal lobotomy that we actually need to give ourselves, but they really are living in the present. And I think, again, this full moon in Gemini holds that intention of antagonizing in a good way, provoking the spirit of who we're being right now, not who we have to be, but who we are becoming. And whether that is to speak your own truth or show your support in resonance to another, use this time well, as we're invited in to express that which is true to our hearts. I know I'm repeating myself, but I really want to get this across right now, that we can't rise up out of these old lack and scarcity programs. We can't rise up out of the great separation sickness if we are not willing to do whatever it takes, which is to lean into fear and know that we have been traumatized, betrayed, hurt, and programmed to isolate and withdraw when people hurt us or disappoint us. And because we have been traumatized in relationship, the only way that we can heal and transform and become whole beings again is through interrelationship. So come out of your hiding place, from beneath these layers of conformity and of dimming your light, and show up in your most authentic and genuine expression of yourself. Gosh, it does take courage. It does take, and cura, as you know, comes from the Latin of the heart. So always come back to that question of, what would love do here in order for me to stand steadfast in the truth of who I am? Nothing to hide, nothing to prove, right? No need to defend or fight for anything, but just to simply allow it to reveal to you that there are those in your life that are standing in silent witness, that are hearing you. A lot of our childhood wounds are from that place of our unmet need of being heard or listened to, or spoken to in a place of compassion and allowance. And I think the purpose of being, not becoming, it lets us bring our beingness into full form, so that we can attract others of a similar substance, of congruence, right? Of congruency. So let's support each other to be better and stronger in ourselves, so that we can create this beautiful interwoven thread, this tapestry where we're all weaving our part into changing the collective consciousness. And to also take time out for actively appreciating that we've done a lot of work collectively and in our own shadow work. We've come through many rites of passage, on many metamorphoses this past year, and with each change in perception, each heart-led movement and choice, we're shaking that outmoded fear-based structure of the past, and we are in our own way, activating an alternative future, right? The infinite possibilities are in the quantum field. They've always been there. We just have to plug in our own soul blueprint, which is founded in love, of the heart, right? Of Kur. And we have been doing a ton of work. I know that so many of you say, you know, when does it all end? When does all the work that we've been doing over the past 20 years and our lifetimes, when do we finally get a place to rest? And I believe, my insight is that this is a practice. You know, mastery school, mystery school is ongoing. There's always a new level, new devil. So this work needs to be part of our daily lifestyle, right? It's a lifestyle practice. And all of what we have doing, you know, the good news here is that everything that you have been doing on your own, in your groups, in the collective field, we're coming into this massive action in January that's creating a lot of upset and commotion in the world, and probably you've been feeling that too, and it probably is hurting your physical body right now. Just know that the body has to have the felt sense of it, because the issues are stuck in our tissues, and we need to release this in a very kind somatic way, which is why I'm excited to be bringing you my new free series, The Biology of Trust, how to move into a more blissful, beautiful state of abundance, of connection, of a sense of belonging, by getting to the root cause of everything, right? The level of the nervous system, understanding your attachment styles, and then how to reset your nervous system. So that's going to be coming to you early in January, after all the crazy of the holidays and New Year. So look out for that if you're not on my mailing list, or you're not part of the Healthy Body, Quiet Mind Facebook group. It's a closed group to create that container of safety for you to be able to express your truth. So come on over and join me there, because I really, really, really believe that if we can become aware of our own energy fields and call back our energy from wherever you have floated out right now, when you can start to practice good energy management, have good energy hygiene, and start to focus on congruence and alignment, then you can start to close some of these energy leaks and call back your energy that you may have trickled out to all places of the universe and other galaxies and other fields and other dimensions across all time and space back. And it's really like herding kittens, you know. It's just like in meditation, and you'll find one of those on my SoundCloud account of how to call back your energy so that you can become your whole self and bring back all these fragmented parts that you may have sent out in search for meaning, or in search of helping others. But I think that it's really important to call back these energies now and be in your body, to be sovereign in your sovereign state before you start to try and do all of this work, and to honor that there is a voice inside of you that you have to be true to, and it's always calling us forth, right? That magnetic north in its future form, the butterfly of our soul that claims her freedom. These are potent times. It's important to remember that we're not alone, that we have each other, whether that's across oceans or territories or countries. We're all connected through this Solos logo of the heart. So let's support each other through these times, and just remember that we are strengthened through every experience in this school of life. I think that there is this time where your karmic nodes, especially with your children and family, as I said, will come up so that you can learn from your greatest teachers, right? Our growth partners that we came here to learn, and to lean into allowance instead of trying to make things fit because you feel afraid or not ready to let go of toxic relationships or things that are holding you back, that you want and may not get, or want and can't get beyond your sort of current energy limits, or the limits of others that have been placed upon you. So acknowledge that it's not personal to you, it's personal to the other person. And I think, again, you know, our true lesson, the one lesson that we're all here to learn, is what acceptance is, or allowance is. And that it is in the power of personal choice. This is why they always fall within your own energy boundaries. And we have to remember that you get to choose your life and who you have in your life. And you get to choose how people act and treat you in your life by how you're practicing self-love and self-regard and realization, learning that you're not always going to be in that flow of allowance and acceptance and patience and trust, but you can always come back to it. And remember, you know, I teach this in my right relationship classes within the shadow dancing program, that people can only give you exactly what they have, and what they can give you is all that they can give you. So you have to learn to accept that that is their energy limit, and just send love out, and gratitude to them for what they can give you, not what they can't. You know, this is where we get disappointed and angry or frustrated, because we think things should be different, or we need to fix somebody else. That's not for you to choose, right? That's the true level of acceptance, is letting other people make their own choices and be there for them when they fall down, when they ask for help. Advice is abuse. It's a form of abuse. So don't give people unsolicited advice unless they are asking for it. And remember too, that in order to make relationships really, really work, you have to be true in your congruence and not look to other people for what you want first. You have to do your own inner work first and ask the right questions, so that you go in healed and whole and complete with your energetic priorities in place. It truly is an inside job, and I think we need to remember that, especially when we're being triggered. You know, I see this all the time in my work, in helping people return to trust, to return to their hearts after trauma, whether that is, you know, trauma in utero. There are many, many types of trauma that are much more subtle. It could have been having your tonsils out at 5. It could have been falling down and not actually being able to experience the pain as a child because your parents rushed in thinking that they needed to tell you that everything was going to be okay, instead of allowing you, right? That allowance and acceptance of letting you have your own experience of feeling the pain. Remember, you have to feel in order to heal. So this is where I often see children of abusive parents often marry abusers. I certainly chose 2 narcissistic partners because I had a narcissistic father, and I realized in doing my own work and in helping hundreds of people over the years that what that was all about was this need, right? This internal hunger to try and reconcile my energy and try to fix my father. So this is why kids of alcoholic parents become alcoholics, or often attached to other alcoholics in an effort to try and fix that original core wound, right? The original incident that created the belief that that was the only way to find love or be accepted or acknowledged or not rejected by that perpetrator in the beginning. And it's also why so many relationships end up being so bad. It's important to know that it's not for you to fix. And yes, we live what we learn, and we often self-sabotage relationships and keep ourselves in these energetic prisons and spaces of pain, because what we know we repeat, but often we don't know to look for something that is not abuse or pain, because we live what we learn. And I see this in sabotaging relationships all the time, because we're afraid of what we don't know, as I said, or we're afraid or that we can't sustain it if it changes, if there isn't pain. So, you know, cut yourself some slack there. If you're used to being disappointed, if you're used to waiting for the other shoe to drop, which I certainly relate to, if you're always sort of holding your breath and walking on eggshells as a child, it's important to know your attachment style and start allowing those to help you so that you don't choose more disappointment again. So take time to look at how sabotaging unconscious patterns are showing up for you right now. And then you get to be able to name it, identify it, call it what it is, and then educate yourself on your attachment patterns, how your nervous system is wired from childhood. Maybe sometimes wired in utero or pre-birth because you're bringing in these karmic nodes to resolve from other lifetimes or as a child that are running your adult life so that you can change it. And just take a breath and push pause on the world, and especially push pause on 12/12 today, or if you can't do it in a couple of minutes at 12/12 your time, or 12/12 is already passed, go to 21/12, go to 12 minutes past 9 to 9, and use this universal ascension code that's available, that's really signifying our attainment of the 12th dimensional Christed divinity, right? The Holy Trinity. And celebrate that this year that's coming to an end is a 12 year. If you add 20 and 19 together, that's 12. And this is being amplified today on this 12/12/12 gateway. It's a very sacred symbol. And it represents your spiritual growth as an infinite being with infinite possibilities, especially in Metatronian mysticism. 12/12 is a sacred code that activates your Merkabic field. So you could spin your Merkaba, you could bring in the 12/12 as part of your ritual, as part of your meditation today. Just see the sacred geometry of Metatron's cube, which comprises of those 12 circles and the 12 pillars, all interwoven and encircling one another, and know that that is encoded in your divine wealth blueprint, and that you are not only just a transmitter, but you're also a receiver of light. So by you actively participating in your own ritual, you're bringing it in, and you're transmitting that love light energy out again. And in doing that, just know, all these bioelectric fields are attuning to the ascension codes embedded in this love light infusion. If you've been doing a lot of astral travel, if you're traveling yourself out in your meditation, and I have some of these in my SoundCloud account, so go in and look for the healing activation. It's got a beautiful picture of a white lion on there, and I'll link it below. But just know that when we can sort of travel, take our astral body down into the galactic centers, and connect to the crystalline stargate of source code, source energy, you're paving that pathway home to the creator, to the divine. So use this, get excited as you prepare your space to do this beautiful quantum leap to the next level of your soul's ascension plan, and this acceleration into the 5D, because the time matrices are dissolving, and you're probably feeling that already. So travel with me to the great central sun in silent meditation at 12/12, and also I'm going to give you some of these now, I think, because I've probably been rambling on for a while, and it's getting close to 12/12, and I want to prepare my own space. But just know that you're very supported in your transformations, in your connections right now. So consider your relationships, your interrelationship, your interconnectedness, so that you can come home to the heart of oneness and contribution to yourself and to everyone else in the planet, in human and non-human form, all of nature, all of Gaia, to the plant kingdom, the David kingdom, the Elohim, the sentient beings, the angels, in the angelic realm. And I'm just looking outside, bringing in that connection with the ancient wisdom of tree spirits, and the feathered ones, the winged ones, the water ones, and to bring in, asking for cleansing and purification the water within us as connection to the great bodies of the oceans and the rivers and the water streams, that they too may be cleansed and cleared as you create and cleanse your own internal waters. And just know it's a time for action right now, not overthinking, not analyzing, but following your intuition on what actions will be beneficial and in congruence with your higher, greatest calling right now. Just open your heart and allow yourself to be vulnerable and really honest. Remember, I spoke about truth, truth telling in the beginning. I always talk about truth telling, but that this is the time now to trust in your own voice and rise up out of these old, lower density miasms, and enter into this compassionate space of cooperation, of asking what would love do here in relationship with someone that perhaps is triggering you, so that you can bring in this balance of diplomatic energies of the two, right? The 1-2 energy of I am presence, and the 2 of duality, of contrast, but also of connection, to be very emotionally available. And compassionate, as I said, to yourself as well, as you're working through the conflict and the contrast with others. And take time to review, right? I have a whole process called Illuminate Your Gifts. We go through this, where we review the year, where you are now, where you hope to be by the end of the year, and what you're calling in to create in 2020 and beyond, because the number 1 is associated with everything about you, right? That I am presence. And the number 2, as I said, is associated with everything to do with relationships. And remember, how you do anything is how you do everything. That we are traumatized in relationships, so we have to heal through relationships. And you can't do that if you're not being vulnerable and honest with yourself and asking for what you need, but also saying, hey, you know what? I'm confused. Could you help me with this? Right now. It's a beautiful way to open up without people feeling like they need to go into those old attachment styles of ambivalence or avoidance or defensive patterns of protection, right? There are no limiting beliefs. They're just beliefs that you created as a little one to keep you safe. And again, I think appreciation, gratitude is so important right now, to have gratitude for the little one that did what she needed to do in order to have you here listening to me, and just be kind and gentle and patient with yourself as you really start to take advantage of these 12-12 energies to supercharge your intentions for 2020, and also in reviewing, releasing everything that no longer serves you. Thank them for being in your life, and that you no longer need them, that they can go back from whence they came, never to return to you, your body, or this reality ever again. You want to give them direction to go back. Don't leave them floating out in the ethers of entities in the spirit world to attach themselves to somebody else that's vibrating on that sort of low vibrational resonance of fear and lack and scarcity. So, I'm going to wind this all up. It's 11:56, so we've got a couple of minutes before 12:12. Prepare a beautiful space, a sanctuary, an altar. You might want to bring in a feather, from the 4 directions of air and water and metal and earth. Bring some crystals in. Bring in your loved ones, put them on an altar in front of you. You might want to light a candle, right, to bring in the ethers, the air, to call in your sovereign being. But prepare a beautiful space for you, and just allow yourself to open your heart and call in and release through this forgiveness, and also know that there are certain things you do not need to forgive. And that's okay too. Honor your process, honor where you are in your journey. And when the moon comes out tonight, if you're lucky enough to see it, it's a really overcast and cloudy day here today. So even if you can't see the moon, doesn't mean that it's not there. This is about bringing the invisible into the visible, right? Bringing the unseen into a space of being able to receive it. So, you know, whether the moon is out and you're in the moonlight or not, just simply bathe in the moonlight. Ground yourself to Mother Earth. Sit on the floor. Bring in special anchors like crystals or photographs, as I said, or fire in the candle. And just take a few moments to drop into your heart space. I always like to use that calling in of the Merkaba, of Metatron's cube, and just center it. Just rest your hands on your heart. Use any color that you want to bring in the colors of green, of the heart, or pink, whatever you choose. Call in those colors as vibrational frequencies of healing to support you. And the breath, always the breath. You could use that beautiful bee humming of the pranayama that I taught you yesterday to bring yourself into your body. Remember, you're blocking your ears and your just allowing that vibrational field to permeate every cell of your body, and then move into setting of your intentions for whatever it is that you're wanting to manifest under the 12/12 full moon, or anything you want to let go of. You can burn it in the fire, send it dust to dust back to the earth for recycling. Write in your journal, meditate, use sound and music and dance, or whatever makes you bring in more joy, whatever feels right to you. Just write down a few things on a piece of paper. You could write out your abundance check, or look at the one that you wrote on the last new moon, and then let the smoke carry all of your intentions out into the universe. So you could burn that up. You could put it on your altar for the first new moon. Just follow your heart, follow your inner guidance, and just enjoy the day in active appreciation for everything that is coming your way. Remember, it's your time now, and you have to be open to receiving. So empty your cup, empty out the burdens and the suffering, the pain of everything that no longer serves you, and allow the universe to fill your cup back up with joy, knowing and trusting that you are already whole, pure, healed, and cohesive in your divine sovereignty. And I'll meet you there. All right. Namaste. I love you. I see you. I honor you on your journey. May 12/12 be a beautiful time of reconciliation, of reintegration, and of reigniting the power of the truth, the power of choice that is within you. I love you. Have a beautiful rest of your day. And I'll see you back here for day 3 of the 12/12 gifts of this beautiful time of receiving and giving. Bye.